Welcome to Inside the Mind, a podcast hosted by myself, Jennifer Forster, and my beautiful co-host, Allie May. We're excited to be here, diving into edgy, raw, and relatable conversations, woven together with mind-blowing questions that will shake up your model of the world, expand your thinking, unravel your beliefs, tease apart your patterns, and walk you to the very edges of everything you've ever believed about yourself.
As NLP trainers, coaches, entrepreneurs, we will be traversing the topics of business, relationships, money, family, spirituality, leadership, and personal growth, all through the discerning lens of NLP, ancient teachings, and a healthy sprinkling of womanly wisdom. One thing we believe to be true is that if we want a different outcome, we must be willing to ask a different question. And the answers to those questions are always inside the mind. Hello, extraordinary souls. Welcome to another episode of Inside the Mind. My name is Allie May, and this is my beautiful co-host, Jen Forster. Yay, I did it! Oh my gosh, it's been Jen that's been doing all these intros, and I just said to Jen, I'm going to do the intro this time.
And I'm like, yeah, do it, girl, do it. I'm really happy about that.
Today's episode is super juicy. We are really excited to deep dive into this topic. So Jen mentioned this on our last episode, and I want to 100% concur, back it up, agree with it. Timeline therapy is the bee's fucking knees. It is the only thing that both of us know of that creates permanent change. And the reason for that is that all change, permanent change, is created in the unconscious mind. And when we work with timeline therapy, we're able to access the unconscious mind and also have the conscious mind get in on the learnings, get in on the pieces that it needs to have change implemented within us.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read something to you guys, which what we subscribe to. And this is from Tad James, who is, who's our mentor in this body of work. But it's very succinct and it's a great way for us to explain to you what timeline therapy is. So timeline therapy is a very simple, easy technique that allows you to let go of negative emotions from the past, like anger, sadness, fear, hurt, guilt, as well as limiting decisions like I'm not good enough, I can't have what I want, I can't make enough money, I can't have a great relationship. And then it gives us a specific way to create your future by inserting specific goals in your timeline. That's it.
I also want to preface here that Tad James is the creator of timeline therapy.
Yes, he's the founder, creator. He's just an extraordinary man when it comes to understanding the workings of the conscious mind and the unconscious mind. And just wished I would have been a fly on the wall the day he realized that the reason that, as you just said in the opening, that if we want change to be permanent, the only place that can occur for us is in the unconscious mind. And the only way it can become part of our new lived experience is when the conscious mind is present and gets to get the learnings at the same time. That's why this, again, I said this on the last episode, and this is my belief, and I'm happy if it's not everybody else's belief. My belief around the uniqueness of timeline therapy is the only modality that I've ever come across that allows change to be permanent and instant is timeline therapy.
Yeah. And I'm sure that everybody on the planet believes that the thing that they're doing is the thing for change. And I'm not dissing that. And I know you're not either,
Absolutely
Jen.
not.
And what I want to share here also around that is that I'm about to go to Bali and get my level 1 accreditation for breathwork. I currently run breathwork and ice bath sessions. I believe in both of those. I am an NLP. I'm a Reiki master. I've had many students in that as well. Jen and I have both done, shamanic work as well. I have, it's so funny to say, I'm an accredited shamanic practitioner.
Yeah.
So I think true shamans would cringe at that.
What?
It's so funny.
How does that work?
Yeah. So funny. I work with plant medicines and, there are a lot of different modalities and all of them for me are cherries on top to this work.
Yeah. Yeah. So Allie and I both, we both embrace, utilize, teach other modalities. So we're not in any way saying that there's any are better than the other.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
We kind of are.
Yes, we so are.
We're saying that in the context of change.
Yes.
If you want change, here's the difference for me.
Mm-hmm.
The other modalities feel good, that they help me to feel good. They help me to, it's like if you were to have, this is an extreme example. So just everyone know this is just an example. This is not in any way, any kind of truth. But let's just say, for example, you had a brain tumor, right? You had a brain tumor. And initially it started out as just a little headache, right? A little bit of a headache. And so you started to take some Panadol and, like it's just a tiny seeding of a brain tumor. It hadn't actually become a brain tumor as yet. So at the moment it's just a headache. And so that headache with some Panadol or some paracetamol or some Nurofen or some codeine or aspirin or whatever your preferred painkiller is, something that dulls the pain, something that takes the edge off the pain, you take that. And for a moment, you get some relief. For me, that's what the other modalities are. They give us, it's almost like a handbrake. They give us some relief. They give us a breathing, a pause to breathe. They help us get our footing, if we feel like if we're feeling overwhelmed or we're feeling like there's a lot going on. And I love those modalities for that very purpose, can be very, very helpful. However, they are not helping us to extricate the brain tumor. Timeline therapy helps us to resolve and dissolve the root cause of the issue in the unconscious mind instantly and permanently.
Yeah. And I want to add in there that for me, in the other modalities that I work with, ice baths especially, something I love, I believe that repetition of another modality is not just a Band-Aid for something, or Nurofen or Panadol, if we're going to stick with that analogy. I personally believe that these things have great benefit, and I know you do too, Jen.
Absolutely.
These things have great benefit. They support us in our lives. They support us to feel good. They support us to, feel good. That's probably...
And in many ways, Allie, this is just dropping in for me now. In many ways, they actually help us to cultivate and evolve our relationship with our unconscious mind. So they, in many ways, do help us to get into a relationship with our unconscious mind. The reason timeline therapy is so uniquely different is that we're not just relating with the unconscious mind, we are extracting via active imagination, we are extracting the learnings from our unconscious mind whilst the conscious mind is present. And the conscious mind is in the here and now, right? The conscious mind, we've already talked about this, only operates in the here and now. The unconscious mind has access to past, future, and everything. So if the conscious mind isn't present to extract those learnings, then those learnings don't get transferred into our here and now, which is where we get to create change. I know, my little mind, if anyone was watching me then, I was fully, that was just full channeled unconscious mind just going, because if you asked me to repeat what I just said, I could not repeat what I just said.
I was just just staring at you yes, this is a channel download. Here we go.
It is. It's just coming through. So I'm going to replay that. And if there's anything that I want to add to that, which I probably won't, you'll hear it in another episode.
I really like this. I think the piece here to be very clear on is that everything has its benefit.
Yeah.
Yet those things aren't going to give us permanent change. And that's what Jen said.
That's what I'm saying.
So with the piece, if we want permanent change, if we want to shift our beliefs of I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I can't have the relationship I want, I can't make the money I want, I'll never have X, Y, Z. If we want to shift those beliefs permanently, if we're an angry person, if we're a sad person, if we have a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, if we want to shift those so that we're not feeling those on the daily, then timeline therapy is a tool that creates permanent change. So we're no longer attached to those beliefs or those emotions. Now here, I've thought about this many, many times. I started this body of work at the prac level. I think I'm coming up to 7 years anniversary in mid-year. And I did my prac, then I did my master prac, I became a trainer, and I'm in my second year of running trainings now and accrediting people at the practitioner and master practitioner level. Even still now, I will say I struggle with this. And what we speak is, right? So Allie, do you want to struggle with it? I do. I feel like this up until this point, and I can change this as of this moment. This is the beautiful part of our language, right? Up until this point. So if I say that, then I'm not creating the same belief in the future. So you get to see how my brain works in real time here. So I caught myself saying something and locked into a belief. And now I'm going to shake up my model of the world and say up until this point. What was my belief?
That it's a struggle.
It's a struggle. Great. Thanks. So up until this point, I've had this belief that it's a struggle to explain to people exactly what timeline therapy does. And I do believe until this point, and I'm still in the belief of this. So
this is great. This is a really juicy episode. So this is great. Keep going, because this is a lived example of what it's like to unravel something. Keep going.
And this is how Jen and I do everything.
Every phone call we have is just an unpacking of we're just questioning ourselves all the time.
Constant. You're actually hearing me. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel, you're actually seeing me go through my own process here. And I love this too, because it's real time, right? And everything we're talking about, you get to see it play out in real time or hear it play out in real time. So for me, I still know that there's this belief still sitting here within me that I am finding challenging within my own mind right now to shift. So because it's important to me that I do shift that, I will go away after this episode and I will sit with this and ask myself, what do I choose instead? Am I ready to let go of the old belief? Do I want to do a process with myself or with Jen so I can shift that? Or am I happy to keep the belief? It's always a choice. Everything's perfect. Just own the choice. So for me, up until this point, that has been the case. Now, my belief has been that people haven't been able to grasp the intensity of timeline therapy and its permanent change because they've never experienced anything like this. And we are human beings that will look to our past for something now. What I mean by that is we create meaning of things now based off things that we find similar in the past. And there's nothing that I know of that we can look at in our past that compares to timeline therapy. So all we do is we base off our evidence, we base our thoughts, we base all of that off something from the past. So you might have done psychotherapy, you might have done life coaching or had a life coach, you might have done a psychology session, you might have done scream therapy, whatever it is, you will be basing timeline therapy off something you've done before. This is nothing like anything you have ever done before. It's nothing like I'd ever done before. It's nothing like Jen had ever done before. And I think the only way that it gets to come across at this moment in time is through the passion of what you hear for what we're diving into here. Timeline therapy. I have worked with a woman who was raped for many, many years from a young age. She was in one of my trainings from a young age up until like late teens, who, I don't know, around about 45 when she came to my training, who was living a beautiful life, yet still had playing out in the background this childhood abuse. And when we were there on the last day, she said, you might have noticed me like looking around. She said, I've been looking for the story. I've been looking for the experience. I can't see it anymore. I've worked with someone who stole money, kept themselves broke because they felt guilty around that. I've worked with women who so many things have happened. I think this is why I have no shock factor when people tell me things. There's so many experiences. It doesn't matter if you've been raped. It doesn't matter if you've been an abuser. It doesn't matter if you've experienced the most traumatic thing in your life or the least traumatic thing. It could just be you have a belief that you're stuck on that you're not getting past. Timeline therapy will clean it up 100% of the time, providing you say yes to the process. And if you say yes to the process and you go ahead and do the timeline therapy process, 100% of the time it clears up permanently. You will be able to see the experience. You will no longer be able to be attached to it. And I use rape. I know it's hardcore. I use this with every single call I get on with someone to explain timeline therapy because it's a punch in the face. It doesn't matter if you were gang raped. It doesn't matter if you had been, like, if it was the most traumatic thing, which I think it would be the most traumatic thing to experience. You will no longer be able to feel any anger, sadness, fear, hurt, shame, guilt, anything that you felt. You will no longer be attached to all of that experience. You will be able to see it, and that's it. And we have processes. We test this 4 times in the timeline therapy process. We test so you know that it has shifted. And this is why I get on these tangents like this with timeline therapy. That is the most fucking potentest thing, because we are no longer caged inside our minds. inside the fucking mind. Do you want to be caged inside your mind or do you want to be free inside your mind?
Yeah.
Boom, bang, butter, fucking ching, ching.
I'm just sitting here going, yes. Oh my God, Allie, that was exquisite. Just exquisite. Like, that's the uniqueness of this as a modality. Couple of things that came through for me then. Our past is informing our future.
Oh, boom.
So if we have not cleaned our stuff up from the past, know that it is informing your future at an unconscious level.
Every single time.
The second piece here that just landed for me that is so important for everyone to get and to really receive. We can know at the conscious level something, right? Do I know consciously I'm good enough? For sure. Do I know consciously that I'm worthy? Mm-hmm. Do I know consciously that I'm of value? Yep. Do I consciously know that? Absolutely I do. Do I tell people that? Yep. I can share all the Insta memes that you like that go, yeah, I'm worthy, I'm good enough. Don't get me started on those. We can know this stuff at the conscious level. Let me ask you, does your life actually match what you believe consciously? Does it? Does it? That's the question here. Because if it doesn't, what I can tell you categorically is the belief that you actually hold in your unconscious mind is what's playing out and creating the life that you have.
The only reason you haven't got what you want in life, myself included, Jen included, anything that's shared outward, I just want to make it very clear. Anything that's shared like this, when I say the reason you haven't got, 3 fingers are pointed straight back at me. Same with Jen. Nothing ever goes out from us that doesn't come back to us. So if you're watching
the YouTube, oh, now I can't get my fingers to do the thing. It's like, so just for the audio, it's like if you've ever played toy guns as a little kid, you've got, the thumb up and the finger pointing forward, but there are 3 fingers pointing back at you. So whenever we're saying you, we mean us too. We're not separate from this.
No way. And I love that, because if ever a point is going to be made, or a judgment, or something that's factual, this is why I don't look into fact. Because for me, nothing is fact. Everything is just something that we make up. Everything is an illusion. That's going to be one of our other episodes, and we'll dive more into that. Now, can we just backtrack?
Yeah.
What was I going to say there?
We were talking about you can know something consciously. You can know that.
Oh, yeah. Got it. Thank you. The only reason you haven't got what you want, the only reason Jen and I may not have what we want as well, is because there is a mismatch with the unconscious mind.
Yeah.
It's a limiting belief that will be in your way.
Yeah. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's our little episode today on timeline.
Little.
and I said that really tongue in cheek. This was probably the most, if you're going to listen to an episode a second time, listen to this one a second time and allow your unconscious mind and your conscious mind to be present while you listen to this episode.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just having a little giggle here on the inside about how passionate I get.
Oh.
It's like...
if this is and just to share, this is perhaps a really good way to close out this episode, to share with you, how did this podcast get born? The podcast got born because this that you experienced today is Allie and I on the telephone to each other. The telephone, the old telephone. I think your kids call it a mobile phone these days. I'm not sure what you call it. The only reason this podcast got born was because we have this level of conversation on the daily.
Sometimes twice a day. Not even joking. Every day, Allie and I invite ourselves to our own cleanup party, consciously and unconsciously. We question everything. We are willing to put ourselves, our lives, our judgments, and our beliefs and our negative emotions under the spotlight over and over and over and over again. We are willing to get the microscope out on all of the nuances of what we believe and don't believe. And that is the basis of this podcast. It's like a story for you, for Allie, for me. Yeah.
It's an ongoing pulling apart of everything that is you and isn't you.
Oh, I like that. So where can you hang out with us a little bit more?
We'd love you to, by the way.
We definitely would. So we have a Facebook group called Inside the Mind, the podcast. And that Facebook group is where you can come and join us to go deeper into these conversations. So every episode in our Facebook group will have its own post. And the invitation is that if you have a question about the episode, If you have something you would like to share, a personal experience, if you have a disagreeing opinion on something, we want to open up the Facebook group for that. If you put something in there that's really not nice, it will be deleted and you will be removed lovingly from the group.
Yeah.
However, we are open to different points of views, and we want to keep the conversation going with you. So you can get that in our group. All the details you will find somewhere around wherever you're watching this. We are on YouTube. You will find us on our websites. Jen has hers, I have mine. We are on iTunes. We are on Spotify. And I think that's our key ones.
Yeah, I think that's the key ones. But I think you'll probably be able to find us across most podcast platforms. So, yeah, if you loved it, if you love this episode, and again, why would you not love this episode? My goodness. Please leave us a rating if you loved it. Leave us a beautiful comment, also only if you loved it. And subscribe. Please hit the little subscribe button so that you can get the first to listen to every new episode as it drops. See you on the next episode where the story continues.
Lots of love.